Aloha! Welcome to Segment 3 in the Noyau Center's on-demand streaming series on developing successful presentations. This segment discusses some key tips and strategies for crafting powerful visual aids. Let's get started. It's important to put thought into the visuals of your presentation because good visuals not only keep audiences engaged, but they also provide supplement or support for the key talking points of your presentation. When analyzing your assignment prompt, try to determine if you're free to choose the kinds of visuals you use or if there are specific requirements. If you're free to decide, take some time to think about the best way to present the information you're sharing. If you're presenting detailed tables or spreadsheets, this kind of information can be difficult to fit on a slide. Your slides can come out looking too busy or confusing for your audience to follow. You don't want that. It might be better to provide complicated materials in the form of a handout for your viewers so that they can more easily follow along. You may even consider using infographics to create a cleaner visual in the handout or slide. Infographics may not show every single step in the calculation or process, but they provide appealing graphics that allow the audience to better understand the key takeaways. Canva is a great free online design program that offers a ton of fantastic templates. We use this website a lot in the Noyau Center, and we highly recommend it. Venngage is another free site that focuses specifically on infographics. Both of these sites are key ways to create unique visuals that can help to set you apart from the pack. Most professors require students to hold a brief question and answer segment with the audience after their presentation ends. If you still want to have a detailed breakdown of your work, you can move that information to an appendix slide at the end of your slide deck, and you can verbally tell your audience that you have the appendix available if anyone would like to discuss the information in greater detail during the Q&A session. This is typically a better time to get into the mechanics of complex worksheets. If your material is visually easier to present, here are some great resources for creating appealing slides. Google Slides is included in the G Suite bundle that comes with your hawaii.edu account. I like it because it's highly collaborative, meaning that I can work on slides at the same time as my teammates. It comes with a decent handful of ready-made templates, but you can also import more unique options from other sites that we'll mention in a bit. SlidesCarnival.com and SlidesGo.com are two awesome sites that offer hundreds of free templates that can be used on either PowerPoint or Google Slides. They have lots of modern and trendy looking options. Prezi.com is an online presentation tool that a lot of students like. The software uses motion and spatial relationships to take the viewer on a journey across a large workboard throughout the presentation. As a word of caution though, it's important to be mindful of how you use Prezi's effects. Some viewers feel like excessive motion can be distracting or even dizzying. For those of you who'd like to create animations to use within your presentations, sites like Animaker and Powtoon can help. It may take a little more time to make an animation from scratch, but in doing so, you can be sure that you're creating a one-of-a-kind presentation that will likely wow your audience. Finally, if you've been assigned to create a recorded presentation, we've compiled a list of some useful resources. Animoto.com is a great free online video editing tool. We like this program because you can edit clips without downloading any special software to your computer. It's basically a drag and drop program, so it's highly intuitive and you won't need any specialized training to use it. It comes with a wide array of templates that make the editing process pretty simple. iMovie comes free with the purchase of any Apple computer, and it's another program that is fairly intuitive and easy to use. This is the software that we use to create our videos in the Noyau Center. If you've never used it before, you can teach yourself the basics fairly easily by watching tutorials on YouTube. We also recommend Lightworks. The free version is pretty good and should offer enough features for the average user. Again, there are lots of templates available that make production a bit easier, and tons of tutorials within the Lightworks website and on YouTube. We hope you found those resources useful. Up next, we'll close out this segment with some tips on slide design. Here's a general list of some things to keep in mind when building your slide deck. Present one idea per slide. It's important to remember that we make slideshows for the benefit of our audience, so cramming too much information onto one slide can be confusing and even distracting for our viewers. Next, remember to limit your word count. Just as ideas should be limited per slide, so should text. If you present a slide with a wall of text, your audience immediately stops listening to you and starts reading the slide. Instead, try to use bullets when possible, and limit those bullets to no more than 6 per slide. When using bullets, you can limit your word count even further by avoiding full sentences. Use only the necessary keywords or concepts to convey the big picture. Some experts even recommend that you try to turn bullets into graphical elements. That's because most people's brains are wired to recognize concepts much faster when we see pictures and colors. Let's look at an example. The bullets in the slide on the left are nicely done. There aren't any full sentences, but the slide is kind of boring. See how much more engaging the slide on the right is? It uses colors and graphics to communicate the same message, but it's more appealing and easier to follow. Here's another example. It can be better to avoid the bullets altogether and use graphics and colored text boxes. Many viewers would agree that the slide on the right is more effective in communicating the information. Most of the text is eliminated, and instead we have a clear and concise visual that provides more effective support. Going back to our list, be sure to take time to look for a unique template. There are only a handful of default templates in PowerPoint and Google Slides. If you've ever been in a class with a bunch of students presenting one after the other, you've no doubt noticed that the same templates get used over and over. That can be really boring for the audience. Earlier, we mentioned a few great sites like Slides Carnival and Canva that can be used to help you find more unique options. Try to stand out from the pack. Next, if you're presenting charts or graphs, try modifying the default graph settings. The default settings in Excel aren't necessarily designed to translate well to slides. Look at this example. The slide on the left uses the default settings. The information on the X and Y axis are so crowded that the slide is almost impossible to read. It's important to think about what information is actually needed for the presentation. In the slide on the right, the sales numbers have been modified to display in double digits, and only select dates were listed across the bottom. Unnecessary grid lines were also removed, making the image cleaner and easier to follow. Additionally, I would recommend avoiding the use of 3D graphs. It's easy to fall into the trap of using 3D charts because it seems like a cool feature, but it can actually distort your message. Take a look at these examples. The 3D effects used in the slides on the left make it hard to actually determine what the lines or segments of the pie mean. The slides on the right are plain and simple, and the comparisons are easier to understand. Sometimes, less is more. Back to our list again, and moving on to resizing, cropping, or recoloring photos. When adding photos to your slides, it can be tempting to grab the first photo that comes up on Google and throw it onto a slide without second thought. Sometimes, a photo can actually be more effective when it's slightly reworked. Look at this example. Though this is ultimately a matter of aesthetics, many would feel that the cropping and resizing used in the right slide makes for an overall more appealing slide. You can also recolor photographs with programs like Canva so that your images blend in with your overall presentation theme. Finally, apply the rule of thirds. A popular guideline used in digital media and cinematography involves dividing the workspace into thirds, horizontally and vertically. Rather than positioning everything in the center of the screen, important elements can be placed at the intersections of the third lines. Look at the example. Rather than centering the dog in the middle of the screen, we get a more dynamic visual by utilizing the rule of thirds. If you're completing this workshop for credit, pause the video here and complete questions 1 through 4 in the quiz. remember to hit the Submit button once you've finished. Hit play when you're ready to resume to review the full list of segments covered in this workshop and our contact information at the Noayau Center. Here's a series overview of the other segments included in this workshop. In just a moment, we'll provide you with our contact information, including our website, so feel free to visit to view any of these other videos or any of our other streaming offerings. Thanks for watching.